Welcome back, everybody. Today is Friday, October 10th, 2025. Born on this date in 1933, Hollywood hairstylist and Manson family murder victim Jay Sebring of Birmingham. His family moved to Detroit when he was really young. Today's also National Metric Day. Here on October 10th, 10/10, you get that. The Blame America First crowd loves to sing the praises of the metric system and how antiquated we are because we stick to the standard system generally here in the U.S. I say excuse us for knowing how to do fractions. If you can't conceptualize sixteenths, then I don't want you working on my truck anyway. Today, we have AL.com's Kelly Kasich back on the show to talk about a few college traditions such as the Bodda Getta and Rammer Jammer cheers. First, we have a new porn tax, a higher liquor fee, and more Winn-Dixies changing into something else. Now, if we don't get to your favorite vice today, let us know. We'll try to work it in next week. I'm Mike Morgan, and we're down in Alabama.
This fall in love with cozy. Nothing says autumn like wrapping up in the rich, warm colors of Minky Couture. From golden ambers to deep burgundy and rustic browns, Minky blankets bring the beauty of the season right into your home. Perfect for crisp evenings, family time, or gifting someone special. Fall in love with Minky and shop your favorite fall colors today at minkycouture.com.
Well, our first couple items today, some people might describe them as so-called sin taxes. Well, I guess one's a tax and one's a fee. You raise revenue for the state while possibly altering behavior. After all, if you want there to be less of something, you put a tax on it. Of course, then if everybody stops sinning, the state gets shorted. A new porn tax took effect last month, and the first payments should be coming in by October 20th. Reports AL.com's Mike Casey. The tax was passed nearly unanimously as part of the measure that required porn sites to verify the age of the user. The age verification part went into effect last year. Porn industry interests sued the state of Texas over a similar law, but the law was upheld by the Supreme Court in a 6-3 decision. Revenue collected from porn companies here in Alabama is earmarked for the Alabama Department of Mental Health, said State Representative Ben Robbins, a Sylacauga Republican who sponsored the legislation. Quote, I think the pornography is a driver in causing mental health issues, and so to offset the damage caused by these companies, they need to pay basically a sin tax to the state, which then we use to help support our mental health services, end quote. The Alabama Alcoholic Beverage Control Board, that's ABC, has raised a fee for liquor companies to help pay for a new warehouse, reports AL.com's Mike Casey. Effective January 1st, the bailment fee, which compensates the ABC board for storing the liquor company's product, will increase from 72 cents to $1 per case. Now, for those who fear the possibility of that fee being passed along to consumers at the rate of 28 cents a case, note that the fee hasn't seen an increase since 2013. Plus, you'd have to have quite the consumption rate for that to be too noticeable. The Retirement Systems of Alabama is building a 250,000 square foot warehouse in Montgomery, right across from Maxwell Air Force Base's Gunner Annex. It's going to cost nearly $100 million to build. The ABC board will be on a 20-year lease-to-own agreement with the RSA. And the company that owns Winn-Dixie announced plans to continue taking stores in different directions, reports AL.com's William Thornton. Already this year, Southeastern Grocers has closed 4 Winn-Dixie locations in 3 Alabama cities. Of course, Aldi has bought numerous Winn-Dixie and Harvey's stores and is changing those to Aldi stores. Now, on Thursday, Southeastern Grocers announced it will divest 3 Alabama Winn-Dixies to Food City, Locations in Fultondale, Trussville, and Jasper will transition next month. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll talk Rammer Jammer and Bodda Getta and whatever else comes up with Kelly Casey. Y'all stay with us.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock has tips to protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report phishing, and update the software on your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, let LifeLock alert you to suspicious uses of your personal information. LifeLock also fixes identity theft, guaranteed or your money back. Stay smart, safe, and protected with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Hey, thanks for staying with us, everybody. Here we are at the beginning of October. I guess they're there also. And I thought it wouldn't hurt to do something else related to football season. Now, for non-sports news listeners, don't worry. This is not exactly about football. It's more about traditions and history and whatnot. We figured it was a good time, perfect time, to bring back columnist, author, reporter, news of the weird aficionado, and all things Alabama history and humor, Kelly Kasich. Kelly, it's good to have you back down in Alabama studio.
Thanks for inviting me. I love to come on and talk about Alabama history and weird stuff.
I had a great time last time, learned some stuff, and I think, well, today's topic is something that some people are going to be intimately familiar with, but many people just accept it as part of their lives without knowing where the world these things came from.
Right, tradition for sure. Yeah,
that's right. Other folks like newcomers hear things like Rammer Jammer or Bodda Getta in conversation, think, well, people are speaking in tongues now. Where am I at?
Okay, I have to tell you this before we get started. So I got an email in response to the Bodda Getta story going up, and it was, the subject line was bottle getter, because they were making fun of the name. And then an Alabama fan told me that they call it Bodda Herta. Okay, there we
go. The best creativity comes from college football fans during college football season.
Oh, yes.
Before the third quarter with drink number 4, usually, but it kind of falls apart after that.
Right.
You wrote a book a few years back where you mentioned Bodda Getta, which is Auburn's cheer, and you had to do some digging. Can you tell me about the history behind that?
Well, the problem with the history of both of them is that people remember different start dates, different people who might have come up with it, and part of that is because they evolved from a simple cheer to what they are now, and so they do have differing start dates, and so it's pretty interesting. But I wrote the book Hidden History of Auburn years ago, and had called around and talked to one of the cheerleader sponsors who told me about it. And then I had some emails come in from people sort of correcting and saying this started at Bodda Getta started at a high school.
At a high school. Well, there is a lot behind this.
Lee High School in Montgomery. The folks there, and I did get a couple of different emails, who were in the band there in the 1970s said, no, 1960s, said that they were doing a little chant at the time that they pronounced Bodda Getta, and that it went like this: Bodda Getta, Bodda Getta, Bodda Getta, ba, rah, 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 sis, boom, ba, push them in the mud, big red, because they were red and white colors. So okay. Don't ask me, but that's how it started. And then when these band members went on to play for the Auburn band, they took it with them, and someone else wrote the new lines about kick 'em in the butt, Big Blue.
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. It's sort of like I'm going to do a little jump here. Everybody knows I go to baseball always. The Atlanta Braves fans started doing the chop because Deion Sanders was on the team that
Right,
year, and he had
right.
come for Florida State. So it's
Makes
a
sense.
similar thing. Now, those words you say '60s in high school, those are some ancient. Where the sis boom ba, I mean, that goes back. There definitely was some evolution behind that as well at
Oh,
the
let me
high
tell
school
you
for
this
sure.
one. This one's awesome. So I was looking at some Glomerati yearbooks, which is Auburn's yearbook. So in 1898, here was a cheer. Sis boom ba, 98, 98, rah, 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 hullabaloo, baloo, baloo, how do you do, senior. That's a cheer that they did in 1898. So I just think it's funny.
And when they dropped that 98 in the cheer, they were thinking we're the new generation.
They were, for sure. I tell my daughter all the time, she was born in 1993. I said, by the time you have grandkids, they're going to be saying, you were born in the 1900s?
No. Yes, that's so true. That was a
Yeah.
big deal when I was young in the a kid, even into the '80s. To know my great grandma was born in '89, I think, or no, '98, I
Wow.
think. Oh, and speaking of evolutions, if we went over to Alabama, Rammer Jammer has had controversy all along the way.
It has, because here's the reason, and I know people say I'm an Auburn graduate and I'm just making stuff up, but the university actually did ban the cheer at a couple of different times in its history in the 90s, mainly because some saw it as taunting and poor sportsmanship because it says we're going to beat the hell out of you, and then there were some who didn't like having the word hell in there, saw it as cursing. So it was banned, but the students voted in, I think it was the early 2000s, maybe.
Mm.
If they had a homecoming vote, and 98% of students said they wanted it back. So there you go.
Of course, it's taunting. I mean, is there any other explanation for it?
But let me tell you where it started then. It started with Hottie Toddy and their taunting. So back in the 1960s, there was a literary magazine called Rammer Jammer at the school, and it went
Mm.
through, I think, through the 20s, 1920s through the 1950s. I'm sorry, I'm saying this wrong. So it was called Rammer Jammer. So they came up with Yellowhammer, the state bird, to rhyme with that. So there was a cheer that said Rammer, Jammer, Yellow Hammer, Give 'em Hell, Alabama. But it was the Hottie Toddy taunt at a 1980 game with Ole Miss that they put the two together. Hey Auburn, we're going to beat the hell out of you, with the Rammer, Jammer, Yellow Hammer. And that's how it came to be. And they put some band music with it then too.
Okay, and you said 1980?
Yeah, now this is what I have been told by several people who emailed, that it was the cheerleaders after the 1980s who combined the two chants.
Right. Ole Miss's Hottie Toddy and Alabama's Rammer Jammer.
Right.
I can't believe that it's been that recent. I guess 1980 is a long time ago. Once you look up at it.
It is for people younger than us, Ike.
I
No,
mean, I think
but
not.
the 1960s is when they were doing the shortened version of it, so it's been around.
Well, you've already betrayed that you were from Auburn.
Yes.
Uh, Give us. I know because I know you've written about this stuff on and on and on. People have from outside the state, especially, have so many questions about Auburn and Albee being, and versus the Eagle. Hey, are you the Eagles or the Tigers? And can you give us a little history on that?
I can, and here's what's interesting. So anybody who makes fun of it, there are other colleges who have different mascots and different battle cries, and Crimson Tide being one
Hmm.
of them. Roll Tide, and you're like, well, how do you get a Crimson Tide and an elephant? So it's the
Right.
same with Auburn. Our mascot is a tiger, and our mascot is freaking adorable. You know that, obvious. So, and he wins all kinds of competitions, but he came into being in 1979 as a costumed mascot. The drawing of him was created by Phil Neal, who was with the Birmingham News, who used to do the covers for the programs.
Mm.
And so they took his drawings and said, let's make a real life costume. Supposedly, that costume was made in 1979, and Big Al's costume debuted in 1980. So it was like everybody was getting the costume mascots at one time, and they were calling and ordering them from the people Disney used to make costumes. So, but War Eagle is a battle cry. There's a legend behind it, but the legend, if we don't tell anybody, is made up. So War Eagle is just a battle cry that came about from old legends, and it's when we got the eagle, we initially had an eagle back many years ago. I believe 1930 we might have had an eagle that was injured, and all of our eagles are injured eagles who could not live in the wild. They are not caged and trapped and all that. They could not live in the wild, and so they're
Mm.
taken care of by the Auburn Center. So anyway, so it just is something that came together, and like I said, several other schools have um, differing mascots and battle cries, and I just think it's fun.
Yeah, and I mean, I get. We'll go ahead. You start to go ahead and hit on Big Al some, since you said he became a. Uh, I want to say, this may just be me, but I'm remembering stuff as being way older than 79 and 80. Not that I remember back further than that, just that I've seen black and white pictures. I hate it that photographers have these files of black and white photos from the 80s. The 80s were not in black and white, folks. Maybe the 60s.
But newspaper photographers went ahead and changed them over because that's the way we did it back then. You had to take the color out to get them in the paper. So,
That's exactly right. Yes.
but there was an older Big Al. If you want me to be honest about it, there was a
Okay.
student, and I know everybody knows his name, and right now I can't even think of it, but there was a student who created sort of like a big paper mache elephant head and wore
Uh,
it to all the games. And so that was the first Big Al. And there's some great photos of him online you can find. But it wasn't until 80 that they had the costumed mascot.
that's right. That's probably why I'm thinking like that. Was it a little. I know you're an Auburn fan, so people get mad at me, whatever. It's like I'm questioning people's religion here, but was it a little scary, that elephant head? It seems like.
Yeah, it was, but it was, at least it's something that he started that became a big tradition for the school. So
Mhm.
you got to give him credit for that. I think he might have been like the student leader at the time or something like that.
Okay, a step in the direction of where they went now.
Right.
Tell me this: have you ever rolled Toomer's Corner?
Oh, many times. In fact, I was at the last roll before they cut down the poison trees, and now we're getting
Really?
into really bad territory, so let's not go there. But I went to the last roll of the poison trees, and now they have the beautiful new trees. And yes, I've been there since then. So
Oh no! Wow, that's kind of that. So it brings a tear to your eye to
yeah,
think of those years where you remember being there at what could have been the last, but they grew some new ones. So
they
so
did.
it's
They did.
Kelly. Or is there anything we're leaving on the table here about this?
We're leaving tons on the table, but you're just going to have me back. I can talk all day about various Auburn, Alabama traditions. So give me a holler and we'll do this again.
Okay, let's do that. Maybe we'll catch up again, but before football season's over, because this just feels like the right time to talk traditions, even if it's not football specific. There's that feeling in the air, especially when it gets cooler.
Oh yeah, and my days at Auburn, I mean, it's so different now, and same with
Mm,
Tuscaloosa. And you go and everything's changed, but the traditions are there, and the traditions are the same, and it just makes you feel at home when you go back.
yeah, Auburn's one of the fastest growing areas in the state. I mean, outside of Baldwin County and parts of Madison County, it may be like third, if I
Well,
remember correctly. It's got to be like crazy going back now and looking around.
well, let me tell you this. So Tuscaloosa is a largest city with a university in it.
Hmm.
Auburn is a university with a town that serves the university. Without the university, there really wouldn't be much of a town there. I mean, just about everybody has something to do with the university. And our downtown is like 3 blocks long. I mean, that's it. It's a straight strip of 3 blocks, pretty much. And so when I found out they were putting a Target in downtown Auburn, it blew my mind. I couldn't even imagine, but it's there, and I've been in it. So things change. So
Yeah, it's like you're on campus, and then you go and say, "Oh, well, there's just all this stuff over here that's not on campus." Oh, well, yeah, that's Tiger Town.
you're right. Yes. Yeah.
So we're not going to forget. We're not going to leave it behind too much. Yeah, because Opelika was the bigger city before the growth
Right.
in all of years past.
Right.
Kelly, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for inviting me.
We're gonna get you back here. Thanks everybody for listening to us. We're gonna be back here bright and early Monday morning. Until then, y'all come by and see what we're doing anytime you want to on the internet at al.com.